The dust of 50,000 years covered everything on the dead world. Vexithara brushed away another layer of ancient debris from the stone tablet, her 6 arms working carefully around the delicate surface. The precursor ruins stretched for miles in every direction, a testament to a civilization that had vanished long before any current species had learned to build fire. "Another warning beacon," she called to her team. The Kethvar archaeologist had been digging through these ruins for 3 months now, and every major structure contained the same thing. Warnings, always warnings. General Zarketh approached, his heavy boots crushing the brittle remains of what might have been a garden. His scarred face showed the same contempt he displayed for most scientific endeavors. More ancient superstitions, Vexthara. She activated the holographic projector built into her excavation equipment. The ancient beacon flickered to life, casting blue light across the ruined chamber. A figure appeared, tall and graceful, with the distinctive crystalline features of the precursors. It began to speak in the long-dead language, which her translator converted into modern Kethvar. "To those who come after us, we leave this warning. We have catalogued the species of this galaxy, their strengths and weaknesses, their potential for growth or destruction. Most are harmless. Some are dangerous. A few are to be avoided at all costs." Zarketh snorted. "The precursors were weak. That is why they are extinct." The hologram continued. "Of all the species we have encountered, one stands apart. They call themselves humans. They appear peaceful, even fragile by galactic standards. Do not be deceived. They are the most dangerous species we have ever documented." Vexithara's translator struggled with several concepts that had no equivalent in Kethvar language. The hologram showed images of a blue-green world and its inhabitants. The humans looked small, weak, with no natural weapons or armor. They seemed to be covered in soft skin that would tear easily. "They evolved as persistence hunters," the precursor warning continued. "They can track prey across vast distances for days without rest. They coordinate in groups with frightening efficiency. Most importantly, they never give up. Once they decide something is a threat, they will pursue it until it is destroyed." The general laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the chamber. "These creatures look like children. Soft, weak children. Should you encounter humans," the hologram said, "observe from a distance if you must. Study them if you dare, but never, under any circumstances, hunt them. They are not prey. They are predators who have learned to look like prey. This is the most important warning we can leave for future generations." The image flickered and died. Vexthara saved the recording to her data storage unit, adding it to the dozens of similar warnings they had found throughout the ruins. Every major precursor site contained variations of the same message. "Stay away from the humans, do not hunt them. They are dangerous beyond their appearance." "Interesting," she said, more to herself than to the general. The precursors were not known for fear. They explored every corner of the galaxy, made contact with thousands of species, but these humans terrified them. Zarketh picked up a piece of broken precursor technology and crushed it in his armored hand. "The precursors are dead, Vexithara. Their opinions died with them. We have observed these humans for months now. They live on a few dozen worlds in a small corner of the galaxy. They have basic space travel, simple weapons, no real military to speak of. But the warnings are consistent across all sites. Hundreds of different locations, all saying the same thing. Superstition and cowardice." The general turned to leave. "Continue your digging if you must. I have a war to plan." Vexthara watched him go, then turned back to the ruins. She had spent her entire career studying dead civilizations, trying to understand what had destroyed them. The precursors were different. They had not been conquered or destroyed by war. They had simply vanished, leaving behind only their warnings. Her communication device buzzed. It was her assistant, Kralmoth, calling from the orbital research station. "Vexithara, you need to see this. We have been monitoring human communications as ordered." The small screen showed intercepts from human colonies. Normal traffic mostly. Trade reports, family messages, scientific data. Nothing that suggested a dangerous military power. "Look at this colony on the edge of their territory," Kralmoth said, highlighting a small settlement. 300 humans, mostly families. They mine rare minerals and send them back to their homeworld. No weapons, beyond simple hunting tools. No military presence at all. The general will see this as proof that the humans are weak. That is what concerns me. I have been reading the precursor warnings. All of them. The language is very specific. They do not say the humans are currently dangerous. They say the humans become dangerous when they are threatened. Vexathara felt a chill run through her exoskeleton. She had learned to trust precursor science over the millennia of studying their ruins. They had been the most advanced species the galaxy had ever known, with technology that still seemed like magic. If they were afraid of humans, there had to be a reason. Show me the military reports on human space. Kralmoth transmitted the files. The Kethvar Empire had been watching human territory for 6 months, preparing for what the general called the harvest. The humans appeared to have no significant military. Their ships were slow and lightly armed. Their colonies were scattered and poorly defended. By every measure the Kethvar used to evaluate potential conquests, humans were perfect prey. The general has already issued orders to the hunting fleets, Kralmoth said quietly. They leave for human space in 3 days. Vexathara looked back at the dead hologram projector. 50,000 years ago, the most advanced species in galactic history had gone extinct. Before they died, they had spent their final years leaving warnings about humans scattered across hundreds of worlds. Warnings that her own people were about to ignore. She tried to reach General Zarketh on the communication system, but his aide informed her that the general was in strategic planning and could not be disturbed. The hunting fleets were already loading supplies and weapons. In 3 days, the Kethvar Empire would learn whether the precursors had been wise or simply cowards. Vex quote, Thara gathered her excavation equipment and prepared to return to the orbital station. As she walked through the ruins, she noticed something she had missed before. The precursor city had not been destroyed by war or disaster. It looked like it had been abandoned in a hurry, as if the entire population had simply left one day and never returned. She wondered if the precursors had taken their own advice about humans. Perhaps they had encountered humanity and decided that the only safe option was to leave the galaxy entirely. If so, the warnings they left behind were not just scientific observations. They were the desperate final messages of a species that had learned too late what humans really were. Captain Jake Morrison checked his instruments for the 3rd time in 10 minutes. The readings had not changed, but something felt wrong about this sector of space. His survey ship, the Pathfinder, was 3 days out from the mining colony of New Haven, conducting routine mineral scans of nearby asteroids. Captain, called Lisa Bennett from the science station, I am picking up some unusual energy signatures about 2 light hours ahead. Could be a solar flare, but the pattern is strange. Morrison adjusted their course slightly to investigate. As a deep space explorer, he had learned to trust his instincts about unusual readings. Most of the time they turned out to be natural phenomena, but occasionally they led to important discoveries. Take us in closer, but keep us ready to jump out if needed. Lisa nodded and continued her scans. She was one of the best xenobiologists in the Colonial Survey Service, with a talent for spotting things that others missed. If she said the energy, patterns were strange. Morrison believed her. 20 minutes later, the source of the energy readings became clear. 3 large ships hung in space near New Haven Colony, their design unlike anything in the human databases. They were angular and predatory-looking, covered in what appeared to be armor plating. Energy weapons were visible along their hulls. Those are not human ships, Lisa said quietly. Morrison activated the long-range scanners and felt his blood turn cold. New Haven Colony was under attack. He could see explosions on the surface, and small craft moving between the alien ships and the planet. But something was wrong with the attack pattern. The aliens were not trying to destroy the colony. They were being very careful about their targeting. They are capturing people, Lisa said, her voice filled with horror. Look at the scanner readings. Those small craft are landing craft, not bombers. They are taking colonists alive. Morrison opened a channel to New Haven but got only static. The aliens were jamming communications. He watched as another landing craft rose from the colony surface, clearly loaded with human prisoners. The three large ships began to move away from the planet, their mission apparently complete. Should we follow them, Captain? Morrison wanted to help, but his survey ship was not armed for combat. The Pathfinder had only basic defensive systems designed to scare off pirates, not fight alien warships. But he could not just watch as humans were taken captive. We follow at maximum range, record everything. The Colonial Defense Force needs to know about this. For 6 hours, they tracked the alien fleet through hyperspace. The ships moved efficiently, like they had done this before many times. They jumped from system to system, avoiding major shipping routes and human patrol areas. Finally, they reached their destination, a system with no human presence at all. Morrison watched in shock as they approached what could only be described as a prison facility. A massive space station orbited a dead planet, surrounded by smaller ships of the same alien design. As they got closer, the scanners showed the horrible truth. "There are humans down there," Lisa whispered. "Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands." The station was divided into sections, each containing what looked like hunting preserves. Humans were being kept in enclosed areas, like animals in a zoo. Morrison could see aliens moving through the station, clearly the same species as the attackers. They were tall and reptilian, with forearms and natural armor plating. "They are not treating the humans as prisoners of war," Lisa said, studying the readings. "They are treating them as prey animals. This is some kind of hunting operation." Morrison had seen enough. They needed to get this information back to human space immediately. But as he turned the ship to leave, alarms began sounding. The aliens had detected them. 3 ships moving to intercept, Lisa reported. "They are much faster than us." Morrison pushed the engines to maximum power, but it was clear they would not escape through normal space. He would have to risk a hyperspace jump from inside the alien system, something that was dangerous but possible with a small ship like the Pathfinder. "Hold on. This is going to be rough." The jump was violent, throwing both humans against their restraints as space twisted around them. When they emerged back in human territory, half their systems were damaged and Lisa was bleeding from a cut on her forehead. "Did we lose them?" Morrison checked the scanners. No pursuit. The aliens had apparently decided not to follow them into human space. "We are clear. Get me a channel to Colonial Defense Command. Priority Alpha." It took 3 hours to reach Admiral Kate Sullivan at the main defense headquarters on Earth. Morrison transmitted all the scanner records and his personal observations. The Admiral listened without comment until he finished his report. "How many ships did you count at the station, Captain?" "At least 50, Admiral, probably more, and there were other stations visible on long-range sensors. This is not a small operation." "Any idea why they are taking humans alive instead of just attacking our colonies?" Morrison looked at Lisa, who had been analyzing the recorded data during their journey home. She cleared her throat before speaking. "Admiral, based on the facility layout and the behavior patterns we observed, I believe they are hunting humans for sport. The preserves on the station are designed like hunting grounds. The aliens appear to view us as exotic prey animals." There was a long silence from Earth. Finally, Admiral Sullivan spoke again. "Captain Morrison, I am ordering you to return to Fleet Headquarters immediately. Do not discuss this with anyone outside official channels. Dr. Bennett, I am transferring you to Intelligence Division effective immediately. We need to understand what we are dealing with." "Yes, Admiral. But there is something else. The colonists at New Haven. Are we going to rescue them?" "Captain, based on your report, we are dealing with an advanced alien species that has been hunting humans for unknown period of time. We have no idea how many colonies have been attacked or how many people have been taken. Our first priority has to be protecting the colonies we still have." Morrison understood the logic, but it felt wrong to abandon the captured humans. "What about mounting a rescue operation?" "With what? You have seen their ships and weapons. We would need the entire colonial fleet to even attempt an assault on that station, and we still might lose." "No, Captain. We need intelligence first. We need to understand who these aliens are and what they want." The transmission ended. leaving Morrison and Lisa alone on the bridge of their damaged ship. They had discovered something terrible, but Morrison could not shake the feeling that they were missing something important about the situation. Lisa, those energy readings you detected when we first found the aliens, can you analyze them more carefully? She pulled up the data on her screen and studied it for several minutes. Jake, this is interesting. The energy signatures suggest their ships have been in human space for weeks, maybe months. They have been watching our colonies, learning our patterns. So this was not a random attack. They have been planning this. More than that, the way they operated, the efficiency of the capture operation, the prison facility already prepared and waiting. Jake, I think they have been hunting humans for a long time. New Haven might not have been their first target. Morrison felt a chill run down his spine. If Lisa was right, then humans had been disappearing for months or even years, and no one had connected the attacks. The aliens had been treating human space like their private hunting preserve, and the colonial government had no idea it was happening. He opened a new channel to Admiral Sullivan. This information could not wait until they reached Earth. Admiral Kate Sullivan stared at the holographic display showing human space. Red markers indicated confirmed alien attacks, while yellow markers showed colonies that had gone silent in the past 6 months. The pattern was clear and terrifying. The aliens had been hunting humans systematically across 12 different systems. How did we miss this? She asked the room full of officers. Dr. Lisa Bennett, now wearing the uniform of Intelligence Division, stepped forward. They were careful, Admiral. Never more than 1 or 2 attacks per month, always in remote systems. They made it look like pirate raids or equipment failures. We had no reason to connect the incidents. Captain Jake Morrison stood beside her, still recovering from his encounter with the alien hunters. The question now is what we do about it. According to our count, they have taken over 800 humans in the past year. Admiral Sullivan turned to Intelligence Officer Ryan Torres, who had been analyzing the alien communication intercepts. What do we know about these aliens? Torres activated his data pad. We call them the HFY, based on intercepted transmissions. They appear to be a military empire that spans several dozen star systems. Their technology is more advanced than ours, but not overwhelmingly so. What makes them dangerous is their approach to warfare. Explain. They do not fight wars for territory or resources, Admiral. They hunt other species for sport. Based on the transmissions Dr. Bennett decoded, they view humans as particularly valuable prey because we are intelligent but apparently defenseless. Morrison stepped forward. Admiral, I request permission to lead a rescue mission to the prison station I discovered. We cannot leave those people there. Captain, you saw their defenses. It would be suicide. Then we find another way. We cannot abandon them. Dr. Bennett cleared her throat. Admiral, there might be another option. During my analysis of the alien behavior patterns, I discovered something interesting. The HFY show signs of psychological stress when they encounter coordinated human resistance. In the 3 cases where colonists fought back as a group, the aliens retreated quickly. What kind of stress? They seem to become confused and frightened when humans display pack behavior. Their hunting psychology appears to be designed for pursuing individual prey, not dealing with coordinated group tactics. Admiral Sullivan considered this information. The Colonial Defense Force had fewer than 200 ships, most of them lightly armed patrol vessels. The HFY fleet was larger and better equipped. In a direct confrontation, humanity would lose badly. Dr. Bennett, you are suggesting we use psychological warfare? I am suggesting we use what evolution gave us, Admiral. Humans are pack hunters. We coordinate naturally in ways that most species do not. If we can make the HFY see us as predators instead of prey, we might be able to turn their own hunting instincts against them. The Admiral activated the communication system and called up Captain Ashley Martinez, who commanded the Fast Attack Squadron based at Luna Station. Captain Martinez, I need your squadron ready for immediate deployment. You will be working with Captain Morrison on a special operation. Yes, Admiral. What kind of operation? A rescue mission, but we are going to do it in a way that sends a message to these alien hunters. Over the next week, Admiral Sullivan assembled a task force unlike any in human history. Instead of the traditional fleet formation designed for ship-to-ship combat, she organized small, fast groups that could operate independently while maintaining communication with each other. Each group included ships from different colonies, creating mixed crews who had never worked together before. Captain Morrison found himself in command of one such group, working with pilot Ashley Martinez and Marine Commander Steve Davis. They had trained together for only 3 days, but already he could see the pack dynamics Dr. Bennett had described. The humans were naturally falling into coordinated patterns without conscious effort. "It is strange," Martinez said during a planning session. "I have never worked with most of these people before, but it feels like I have known them for years." "Steve," Davis nodded. "My Marines are doing the same thing. Mixed units from different worlds, but they move together like they grew up in the same unit." Dr. Bennett had an explanation. "Humans evolved as cooperative hunters. We have genetic programming that helps us work together when facing a threat. The Kethvar have probably never encountered a species with this ability." The rescue operation launched 2 weeks after Morrison's discovery of the prison station, but instead of a single large assault, Admiral Sullivan sent 20 small groups to hit Kethvar positions throughout their territory simultaneously. Morrison, S Group, approached the prison station using a route that took them through 3 different star systems. At each system, they left evidence of their passage: sensor readings, communication intercepts, even physical markers. They wanted the Kethvar to know they were being tracked. "Psychological warfare," Martinez said as they planted their 3rd marker. "We are hunting the hunters." When they finally reached the prison station, they found it in chaos. The Kethvar were clearly aware that human fleets were operating in their territory, and they were frightened. Morrison could see ships fleeing the station as they approached. "They are abandoning their positions," Davis reported. "Minimal resistance." The rescue operation was almost too easy. The Kethvar guards fled as soon as human Marines appeared in the station corridors. Within 6 hours, Morrison's team had evacuated over 200 human prisoners, including colony administrator Amy Foster from New Haven. Foster was weak from months of captivity, but her mind was clear. During the evacuation, she provided crucial intelligence about Kethvar psychology. "They started acting strange about a week ago," she told Morrison. "The guards became nervous, constantly checking their communication devices. They kept talking about humans in their territory, like it was something impossible." "What do you mean impossible?" "Jake, they think of humans as prey animals. The idea that we might hunt them never occurred to them. When they realized human ships were tracking their movements, it broke something in their psychology." Over the next month, the pattern repeated across Kethvar space. Small human groups appeared in system after system, not to conquer territory, but to rescue captured humans and gather intelligence. Each time, the Kethvar response was the same: confusion, fear, and retreat. Dr. Bennett monitored Kethvar communications from Intelligence Division headquarters. The intercepts painted a picture of an empire in psychological collapse. "There, military commanders are arguing with each other," she reported to Admiral Sullivan. "They cannot understand how humans went from helpless prey to coordinated predators overnight. Some of them are demanding withdrawal from human space. Others want to send their entire fleet against us." "What about their leader, this General Zarketh?" "He appears to be losing control of his forces. Several regional commanders have stopped responding to his orders. The Kethvar military is fragmenting." Admiral Sullivan studied the strategic display. In 6 weeks, humanity had gone from being victims to holding the initiative against a superior enemy. But she knew this was only the beginning. "Dr. Bennett, what do the psychological profiles suggest will happen next?" "The Kethvar are pack hunters too, but their packs are based on dominance hierarchy. When the hierarchy breaks down, they become individually focused instead of working together. If we can maintain pressure on them, their entire military structure might collapse." Morrison entered the briefing room, just returned from his 4th rescue mission. "Admiral, I think Dr. Bennett is right. The Kethvar we encountered on the last mission barely fought at all. They seemed more interested in escaping than defending their positions." "Then we continue the pressure. Captain Morrison, I am promoting you to Admiral and putting you in charge of all rescue operations. Dr. Bennett, I want you to develop a plan for extending our operations into the heart of Kethvar territory. Yes, Admiral. But I should warn you, this strategy only works as long as we maintain our pack coordination. If we start operating like a traditional military, the Kethvar will recover their confidence. Admiral Sullivan nodded. Then, we do not operate like a traditional military. We operate like what we are, the galaxy's most effective pack hunters. 3 months into what humans were calling the Persistence Campaign, Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched Kethvar ships flee from yet another system. The aliens had abandoned their mining operation on the 4th planet without even attempting to fight. That makes 18 systems this month, reported Captain Ashley Martinez from the communication station. The Kethvar are pulling back from their outer territories faster than we can advance. Dr. Lisa Bennett, now serving as Morrison's chief intelligence officer, studied the tactical display. Their retreat pattern is telling us something important. Jake, they are not falling back to defensive positions, they are just running. Morrison nodded. The human strategy was working better than anyone had expected. Instead of trying to fight the superior Kethvar fleet in direct battle, human forces had begun stalking them across the galaxy. Small, fast groups of ships would appear in Kethvar territory, track their movements for days or weeks, then disappear, before the aliens could mount an effective response. Any word from the other hunting groups? Martinez checked her communications board. Captain Nick Harper reports success in the Vega sector. Commander Steve Davis has the Kethvar garrison at Proxima in full retreat. Lieutenant Megan Clark intercepted communications suggesting the aliens are abandoning 3 more systems in the Outer Rim. The campaign was unlike anything in military history. Human forces never stayed in one place long enough for the Kethvar to pin them down, but they maintained constant pressure across hundreds of star systems. The aliens were learning what it felt like to be hunted by an enemy that never gave up. Dr. Bennett activated her analysis computer. Jake, I have been studying Kethvar psychology for months now. Their species evolved as ambush predators. They are designed to attack quickly and overwhelm their prey with superior force. But humans evolved as persistence hunters. We can track prey for days or weeks without rest. You think they cannot adapt to our tactics? More than that, I think our tactics are driving them insane. Listen to this communication intercept from yesterday. The recording was in the Kethvar language, but Bennett's translation appeared on the screen. A Kethvar commander was reporting to his superiors. The humans have been following our fleet for 12 days. They do not attack, they just follow. My crew is exhausted from constant alert status. We cannot shake them, and we cannot fight them because they disappear whenever we try to engage. Morrison had heard similar reports from across Kethvar space. Human groups would track alien fleets for weeks, maintaining just enough distance to avoid battle but close enough to be constantly visible on sensors. The psychological effect on the Kethvar was devastating. How are our own crews holding up to this kind of operation? Martinez smiled. They love it, Admiral. The longer we track the aliens, the more confident they become. It is like our people. We're designed for this kind of warfare. That was exactly what Dr. Bennett had predicted. Humans had evolved to pursue large game animals across vast distances, sometimes for days at a time. The same instincts that had allowed human ancestors to hunt mammoths were now being used to hunt alien fleets across the galaxy. Admiral, called Communications Officer Chris Wade from across the bridge. Priority message from Admiral Sullivan at Earth. Morrison opened the channel. Admiral Sullivan appeared on the main screen, looking tired but pleased. Jake, I have news from the diplomatic front. 3 Kethvar regional commanders have sent messages requesting negotiations. They want to surrender. They want to discuss terms for withdrawal from human space. But there is more. Our deep space monitors have detected massive fleet movements in Kethvar territory. It looks like their empire is breaking apart. Dr. Bennett leaned forward. Admiral Sullivan, are the regional commanders acting independently of General Zarketh? That appears to be the case, Dr. Bennett. Intelligence suggests that Zarketh has lost control of large portions of his military. Some commanders are fleeing with their entire fleets rather than continue fighting humans. Morrison considered this development. The human strategy was working even better than planned. By refusing to fight a conventional war, humanity had turned the Kethavar Empire's own psychology against itself. What are our orders, Admiral? Continue the pressure, but I want you to coordinate with the other fleet groups for a major operation. We have located what appears to be the Kethavar homeworld. Intelligence suggests that General Zarketh has recalled his remaining loyal forces there for a final stand. You want us to attack their homeworld? I want you to do what you have been doing for the past 3 months. Hunt them. But this time, I want every human fleet group to converge on their capital system simultaneously. Not to destroy it, but to show them that we can reach anywhere in their territory whenever we choose. Morrison understood. The operation would be the ultimate demonstration of human persistence hunting. Instead of attacking from one direction, human forces would appear throughout the Kethavar home system, having tracked the enemy across hundreds of light years to their final refuge. Over the next 2 weeks, Admiral Morrison coordinated with fleet groups across the galaxy. Captain Harper would approach from the galactic north. Commander Davis would come from the spinward side. Captain Martinez would lead her fast attack squadron in from the outer rim. Dozens of other groups would converge on the Kethavar homeworld from every direction. It is like a pack of wolves surrounding a wounded animal, Dr. Bennett observed as they reviewed the final plan. Except we are not going to attack, Morrison replied. We are going to give them a choice. The convergence began on a Tuesday. Morrison watched as human ships appeared throughout the Kethavar home system, emerging from hyperspace at precise intervals. Within 6 hours, the alien homeworld was surrounded by human forces that had traveled thousands of light years to reach this moment. The Kethavar response was immediate and predictable. Panic. Their remaining ships fled to defensive positions around their homeworld, but there were nowhere near enough of them to defend against attacks from multiple directions. General Zarketh's empire had collapsed so completely that he had fewer than 50 ships left under his command. Morrison opened a communication channel to the planet's surface. General Zarketh, this is Admiral Morrison of the Human Colonial Defense Force. We are here to discuss terms. The reply came after several minutes. The alien general appeared on screen, his reptilian features showing signs of exhaustion and defeat. You have come to destroy our world? We have come to end this war. You began hunting my people. We have responded by hunting you. The question now is whether you are ready to stop running. Zarketh was silent for a long moment. Behind him, Morrison could see other Kethavar military officers arguing among themselves. Finally, the general spoke again. What are your terms, human? Simple. Return all human prisoners. Withdraw all Kethavar forces from human space. And spread a warning to every species in the galaxy, never hunt humanity. And if we refuse? Morrison looked around the bridge at his crew. Captain Martinez was monitoring the positions of 20 other human fleet groups. Dr. Bennett was analyzing Kethavar communications intercepts that showed complete military collapse. Communications Officer Wade was coordinating with human forces across 36 star systems. General, we have been hunting you for 3 months. We can continue hunting you for 3 years or 3 decades or 3 centuries. Humans do not give up. We will follow you to the edge of the galaxy if necessary. The choice is yours. General Zarketh closed his eyes. When he opened them again, Morrison could see that the fight had gone out of him completely. We accept your terms. 6 months after the Kethavar surrender, Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the ruins of the same precursor city, where Vexathera had found the ancient warnings. The archaeologist was there too, along with Dr. Lisa Bennett and representatives from 12 different galactic species who had come to witness the installation of new warning beacons. It is ironic, Vexathera said, running her 6 arms over the ancient stone tablets. My people spent months translating these warnings, and we understood every word. We simply chose not to believe them. Dr. Bennett was setting up the new holographic projector that would replace the ancient precursor technology. The warnings were accurate. The precursors were not cowards. They were smart enough to recognize a species that should not be hunted. Morrison watched as technicians from various species worked together to install the new beacon. The surrender of the Kethvar Empire had sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. Within weeks, humanity had received contact requests from dozens of alien governments, all wanting to establish peaceful relationships with the species that had brought down one of the galaxy's most feared military powers. Admiral Morrison called Amy Foster, who now served as humanity's chief diplomatic representative. "The new warning is ready for testing." Morrison nodded. The holographic projector activated, showing a human figure instead of the ancient precursor form. The message began in Standard Galactic, the common language used for interspecies communication. To all species who receive this warning, humanity appears peaceful because they choose to be peaceful. Do not mistake this choice for weakness. Humans evolved as persistence hunters who once tracked large prey across continents for days without rest. They coordinate in groups with frightening efficiency, and they never abandon their own kind. The hologram showed images of human space, including shots of the Colonial Defense Force ships that had stalked Kethvar forces across the galaxy. It showed the rescue operations that had saved thousands of captured humans. It showed the final convergence on the Kethvar homeworld. Should you encounter humanity, you will find them curious, helpful, and generally peaceful. They prefer cooperation to conflict and will go to great lengths to avoid unnecessary violence. But if you threaten them, if you hunt them, if you treat them as prey, you will discover what it means to be stalked by the galaxy's most effective predators. The message continued with specific warnings about human psychology and tactics. It explained pack hunting behavior, persistence tactics, and the human refusal to abandon objectives once they were committed to them. Most importantly, it explained that humans viewed the hunting of their species as the ultimate provocation. This warning is not meant to frighten, but to educate. Humans can be valuable allies and trading partners. They can also be dangerous enemies. The choice of which relationship you have with them is entirely yours. Morrison watched the faces of the alien representatives as they absorbed the message. Most showed expressions of respect mixed with wariness. A few looked frightened. All of them were taking careful notes. General Zarketh stood apart from the others, no longer wearing military insignia. The former Kethvar commander had become the most vocal advocate for spreading the new warnings throughout the galaxy. His empire was gone, his military scattered, but he had found a new purpose in making sure no other species repeated his mistake. "Admiral Morrison," he said, approaching the human officer, "I have received reports from the Outer Rim territories. 3 more species have requested copies of the warning beacon. Word is spreading quickly. Any signs of aggressive intentions toward humanity?" "None. If anything, the opposite is happening. The Zelani Confederation has offered a trade agreement. The Morthan Republic wants to discuss a mutual defense treaty. Everyone wants to be friends with the species that destroyed the Kethvar Empire, without firing a shot in anger." Morrison smiled at that description. The human campaign against the Kethvar had involved very little actual combat. Most of the fighting had happened in the minds of the alien hunters as they slowly realized they had become the prey. Dr. Bennett finished calibrating the warning beacon and joined the conversation. "Jake, I have been analyzing the psychological impact of our campaign on other species. The results are fascinating." "In what way?" "Before the Kethvar conflict, most galactic species viewed humans as weak but harmless. Now they see us as potentially dangerous but peaceful by choice. It has completely changed the dynamic of first contact situations." Morrison had noticed the same thing. When human exploration ships encountered new species now, the aliens were respectful rather than dismissive. Word of human persistence hunting tactics had spread throughout the galaxy faster than human ships could travel. Amy Foster approached with her diplomatic tablet, showing the latest contact requests. "Admiral, we have invitations to establish embassies with 15 different species. The Galactic Trade Council wants to offer humanity full membership. 3 different scientific consortiums want to collaborate on research projects. Any problems? Only one. The hegemony of Korth is demanding that we share our military tactics with them. They seem to think that knowledge of persistence hunting would make their own military more effective. Morrison frowned. The hegemony was known for its aggressive expansion policies and casual attitude toward the rights of smaller species. What was our response? I told them that human tactics only work for humans. Our success against the Kethvar was based on psychology and instincts that developed over millions of years of evolution. You cannot teach another species to be persistence hunters. That was true, but it was also a diplomatic way of saying that humanity had no intention of helping aggressive species become more dangerous. The galaxy was already violent enough without giving military advantages to empires like the hegemony. Thera approached the group, carrying a data storage device containing copies of all the original precursor warnings. Admiral Morrison, I have a request. My people would like to make amends for the suffering we caused. We want to help distribute the new warnings throughout the galaxy. That would be helpful, Vexathara, but you do not need to make amends. Your people were following their leaders, and your leaders were following their instincts. Perhaps, but we ignored 50,000 years of precursor wisdom. We deserve the consequences of that choice. Morrison looked around the ancient ruins. The precursors had been gone for millennia, but their final gift to the galaxy was still providing protection for humanity. He wondered if they had known that their warnings would eventually be updated by the very species they had been trying to protect. Dr. Bennett, how many warning beacons are we planning to install? 500 initial sites with expansion planned based on response. We want to make sure every spacefaring species in the galaxy has access to the information, and the message will be the same at every site. The core warning will be identical, but we are adding specific information relevant to local conditions. Species that are natural pack hunters will get additional details about human coordination. Species that evolved as prey animals will get more information about the psychological effects of being hunted by humans. Morrison nodded. The goal was not to make other species afraid of humanity, but to make sure they understood the consequences of treating humans as prey. Fear could lead to unnecessary conflicts. Respect would lead to peaceful coexistence. As the sun set over the precursor ruins, Morrison watched the alien representatives preparing to return to their homeworlds. Each would carry copies of the new warning, spreading the message throughout their territories. Within a year, every major species in the galaxy would know the truth about humanity. General Zarketh was the last to leave. He paused at his transport ship and turned back to Morrison. Admiral, do you think the precursors would approve of what we have done here? Morrison considered the question. The ancient species had spent their final years trying to protect the galaxy from making a terrible mistake. Now that mistake had been made and corrected, and the lessons learned were being shared with everyone. I think they would be proud that their warnings finally served their purpose, Morrison replied. And I think they would be glad that humanity chose to teach rather than destroy. The former Kethvar general nodded and boarded his ship. As it lifted off into the darkening sky, Morrison realized that the galaxy had fundamentally changed. Humanity was no longer the unknown species hiding in a remote corner of space. They were now recognized as what they had always been. The descendants of persistence hunters who had learned to look peaceful, but never forgot how to be dangerous. The warning beacons would make sure that no species ever forgot that lesson again.